Tak do mana tio ta tol wala no. Yumi da bomu no. Tini ai ne no tio da ta le podcast to the blood no. Tini ai ne yo da do guest da ga no le che ora qua dura ho no photographer no professional no te. Ko ne come da Konyala introduce yourself. No.
Hi guys, my name is Kevin Carter. I am a photographer based off of New York State, in upstate New York, also known as Utica, New York. I'm 22 years old and don't know much what to say.
Yeah. Gonna get that nhà điều better thing nhà bác cả là photography nào vậy nhà cái photography điều better nhà là tua và là cái professional nào là don't know what that anh nào aku ni tu nhà này bác cái bác cả là nơi gì nào bác cả là taดูta vào gì nào đã thì qua từ cái này nè bác là cái nhà đó bác muốn nói cô là sao họดูta vào
Well, photography has always been a passion of mine for the longest time. I would like to give you two different reasons why I became a photographer.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest inspiration that happened was back in 2000, I say roughly 2005, a photographer came into the village of mine back in Mela Camp, and they photographed my family and I, and there was a photo specifically of me and my brothers and my neighbors, and we were just like looking up at the photographer, and we were smiling, and he got a picture of us, and that photo, for whatever reason, inspired me so much, and until today I look at it and I still remember vividly how much I love that photos, and because of that photographer, that very much inspired me to be the photographer. Another reason why I became a photographer is slowly because my mother passed away when I was a baby. She was taken away from me as a child, so I feel as I have no photos of her. There's one photo of her. I don't know if you remember, but before we came to America, they took a photo of us, those like mugshot photo. Yeah, it looked like we're about to go to jail or something. And I remember that photos, it has my mother in it, and that is literally the only photos of my mother. And I cherish that photo so much, but I don't know what she looked like. She was taken away when I was very, very young age, not even a month old yet. So I feel like because of that, I am so desired to become a photographer, to capture these moments that, you know, a lot of people don't cherish as much, you know, because you don't know when is your family's gonna leave you this earth, you know, and stuff like that. So I feel like because of that, that's why I become a photographer myself.
Giờ phá giờ là website của này đã capture that color cái hira the neva, you know, the moment that's your thought and agiruma. So cái đầu tiên là này so pe nên là phía là tí là sao phát đủ đó còn là sáu cái này khá là.
Oh, this was way before like anybody have any passion about any career, you know. I feel like, you know, when you were a kid and I was a kid, not a lot of us know what we want to do. But for me, at the age of like 10 years old, I knew exactly what I wanted to be, surprisingly. And I remember back in, I say middle school, a teacher came in. It was like a career fair or something like that. They talk about entrepreneurship, and entrepreneur is somebody who build some sort of like a career for themselves, but they're not like professional, but they build themselves as they brand themselves and stuff like that. And I feel like because of that, that inspired me a lot. But do you understand what like entrepreneurs?
Poza chida le when your my like ta lo ta mu le nang cha ra we. So che ta le cha kho, you know, make money le cha la. they were my car. Sorry. But they are lure that the moose or something like that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
So was a so nothing so pen a sauce so nothing Nama lure that the Mugasi, Baka photography the kind do that one when you started. Pen a salad kind.
Yeah, so I remember, I was about 12, 13 years old. I took my first pictures for quote unquote clients, somebody, a stranger, and they paid me $10. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And ever since then, I was like, wow, you can really get paid to just take photos. I mean, obviously back then I didn't even edit or I didn't do any of those amazing editing skills as I could do right now, but I remember I was just taking photos for fun and somebody paid me and I was so happy. Like I don't think it was the money, it was more of like, oh okay, you're 13 years old and you get paid to take photos, you know? So it's very interesting. And then I feel like ever since I was like 13, 14, I just remember helping out other people and as a photographer, and I was just getting paid here and there. And obviously as a kid, even $100 is a lot,
Of course.
So, yeah.
Yeah, me. Okay, me and the pen a salad kind so no malo de jam maybe and then how do you start it?
So I think the first camera I've ever bought was, from what I recall, I had a Nikon D200 with a 50mm. Prior to buying that camera, I did a little research on what kind of lenses I want for myself and what kind of body I want for myself, the camera body. I did have cameras like in the past before like I started to take photos, but I didn't know like what kind of style I want and things like that. So when I first bought the camera, I was like very surprised and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is the most amazing things ever. And it's just like when you're a kid, you discover something new, like maybe new food or new candy or anything that you can play with, like toys and stuff like that. And like with that,
so so you like it and then started. So nobody teach you like what the do that one.
I feel like I had like somewhat of a mentor, but not a lot of people. I mean, actually, nobody actually sat down with me and said, hey, look at this setting, look at that setting. So I didn't really have anyone to help me, but the only source that helped me was YouTube. I would watch YouTube for days, and people would think I was weird because I was watching like American Next Top Models, and I was watching all these fashion shows and these photographers doing amazing work, and I'm like, one day I want to grow up and be like them, Definitely my favorite show was American Next Top Model, and people would say, oh my goodness, he is such a weird kid. But in my mind, I remember I used to watch the photographer, not the model. I mean, I was interested in the model too, but I was more interested in the photographer, how they shot the photos, and I was like, oh wow, this is the most amazing things ever,
So, when you started the Salah with the Pagno, maybe the Salah, the Koloa, the Gonya, Bamli, Chomuri, Salah, Olia, so.
I think my first client, official clients that I got paid that $10 from, it was a Korean person, but I had a lot of, I was very extrovert in high school. I would talk to everybody in middle school and high school, and I remember I would go up to everybody and I was like, hey, can I take for your photo? Can I take for your photos? And a lot of people was like, oh, who's this weird kid? And I would be like that person to just be excited, and like I would just go up to people all the time, and sometimes it gets too much, but overall, like it definitely made a huge change to my life where I am today. And I remember I would join clubs, I would join like, meet other teachers and stuff like that and talk to them about photography. And ever since, I still have journals until today that I write about that I want to become a photographer one day. And I would just go around and take photos of students, and I became the president of the photography club in high school. And I was so excited because I got to shot everybody photos from sports to like senior photos and stuff like that. I mean, they had a professional photographer, for senior photos, but like I was that photographer that shot like everyday photos, at school.
So mianene do da go villa no do da go ne villa no high school college.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, mianene no. So na mianene na luo ta to mulo ta do da ba feel it. Cause you know about mo le nya kan ne. You know about that yeah, kwa do da go lo pu pi o do du mo. Kwa do do da go si go la ba sa ta na ki at the day to ba le nya do da go do du wan do che ta ke ni ji ne do family da go ba sa ta na ki o de ni le ki la ye ti kwa che ta ke wa ta na te la luo ta to mulo do da go ne luo ta to mu de ni le ba nya. Le na ra ta ti mo ba luo ta to mulo do da go ne ni dia so ta ke.
Yeah, absolutely. As you can see today from my career, I mean, if you go through my social media and stuff like that, I am able to make a career out of photography. 100% hard, but you are able to.
So you think how you gonna do that? Because people now when you're not there, like oh, just fall in yeah, we just do a little, just what feel on yeah, we just let do the fall in yeah, fall in it. How the mouth the look at the movie yeah, the look at the movie yeah, more how you make a living with it.
Yeah, I started photography for a very, very long time, ever since I was a kid. So I feel like I made a lot of connection throughout the years. I've talked to a lot of people. I was never shy to like go up to people and be like, hey, can I take for you photos?
Yeah.
The craziest thing is, it is as easy as going up to somebody on the street and say, hey, can I take your photo? And then if they like the photo, they're going to hire you, right? So how is it possible for me to build myself a career and still have consistent clients where I can be booked every single week and getting paid every single week? Well, I mean, I build myself through social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I mean, even until today, I came all the way here in Colorado. I don't know anybody here.
Yeah.
People come up to me and was like, hey, are you Kevin the photographer? And I get so shy because I forget that a lot of people knows me. But, I mean, it is possible to make a living for a couple reasons or a couple examples. I mean, the first thing is having a stable studio, having a solid place where you can go and take photos. So for me, I have a studio in Chadwick, New York, that is right close to Utica, New York, and I set my studio right there so people can come whenever they want. The first thing what people don't understand is you cannot be, I'm not saying you cannot be successful if you don't have a studio, but there are chances that you can have more clients if you have a stable studio, right? So that was the first thing. The first thing was having a studio, whether it's a location or home, whatever it is. If people see that you do studio photos, they're more likely gonna go to you. One of the reasons why it is great to have a studio is because in wintertime it is very cold. Nobody want to go outside. You think you want to go outside during wintertime? Exactly. Or when you're pregnant too, it's very hard to walk around, like to do photos. So in order to have a studio, in order to have a studio and a place to go and a place to change easily, you know, and stuff like that, that is a great that is a great thing to have, so it can make you more passive income. So Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, me, you told me about the studio more than a real, that what they are, got all the money, I will studio line at an agree. From the Jalan telling me, you chumo, you are running more studio. But Henry got Chota de Lania, that Chota, what you that Chota, that you can go, can Muna, can Muchaka Nickel.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, the academy, but with the what on the Era lua ta mu o era lua ta mu lo ba ka le ta du ta go ma sa ta na ke ne de wa the thing ya ba ha ke do ne ba ji ya le so how they gonna get applied no wa ka nga de wa cha le o thing ya o ne a ko ne ne ke la ne do la hai ji li no ke te la wa ya na do li ba sa na le wa nya ba de wa thing ya na ke sa no ba ko la le na cái là chơi bấm nụ cười quả thế gì nè vậy quả thế gì nè để đôi với nhau một cái sân này kia nè bấm nụ cười quả thế gì nè lừa còn là lừa còn nhỏ kia quả thế gì nè vậy này.
Well, that is funny story because I can tell you a couple reasons why. I think the first reason why is the Korean community is a little bit difficult for me. I have a little hard time communicating with Korean people. With all due and respect, I feel like Korean people does not appreciate photography like you and I do, you know. And if they don't appreciate photography, they don't think it's valuable, and they won't pay for your service. And as a professional photographer here today, I feel like I want to get paid as much as possible, you know. You asked me why very few Korean people. Believe it or not, a lot of Korean people knows me. It's just that they don't show their face in front of me. Social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, like today, what we're talking about. I came all the way from Colorado. These people, they saw me from Facebook. They saw me from Instagram. They saw me from TikTok, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, you're Kevin the photographer." But I'm telling you, they know me. Majority of them know me. It's just that they don't appreciate my service, and I honestly feel a little bad because I really love my community. I love my Korean community a lot, so much, and I do everything I can, you know, from helping them with, you know, lower the prices and for example, if I come all the way from Colorado, if I go all the way to Texas, if I go all the way to San Francisco, I'm going to give them discount, you know, because when they're paying for their flights, you know, they're paying for my flights, sometimes my hotel, all my food, all my travel expenses, it become a lot, you know. So there are plenty of photographers in the areas, and but like for me, I slowly focus on American people just because I feel like they have a little bit better value in photography. They do appreciate photography more, so they're willing to pay whatever they want. And like I said, Korean people, I absolutely love them to death. And every day I will always help one person over another. And speaking of helping other people, my favorite quote is actually from the Bible. I forgot the scripture, but it says, "There's more happiness in giving than receiving." I appreciate that quote for the rest of my life because nothing makes me more happier than giving. I can guarantee you right now, if somebody is struggling, right, and they want a family photo so bad, but they only have a budget of, let's say, $150, I'm going to do it. I am 100% going to dedicate myself to them because that's what will make them happy. So me, always giving. So for the Korean community not appreciating me sometimes, it is a little hard. But at the end of the day, I do truly believe that a lot of them know me. They just haven't discovered me yet in a way where there's also like other photographers are. And but for me, I'm very passionate about getting my name out there.
Yeah.
I think also another little problem is my name is not correct. It is American name, only because I changed my name. Long story. But other than that, like I definitely feel like eventually in the next couple of years, more and more Korean people would know about me.
What thing I was that what they were here and do I can do the Colombian, do the Colombian today. The non they now the Noivania, which I'm gonna do it. Wa Colombo, but I think I'm one of one place Instagram what here on the back of the Waganyom now was it go. It's almost the mirror, but then Yali, Basa the Nakine, Le Wakale, take a lemon, the door, the Kabamizi. Okay, me and the children have a thing at it. Oh, they love when you're like they were at a Dulago, at a Kirasa, but Dulago, they were at a wedding. Couldn't they? Me, Chella, when you're the Papa, or Higgy about Jelly, or Hiku or Jelly, they were.
Yeah, I feel like becoming a photographer has a lot of pros and cons, you know. I feel like just like probably starting this podcast, I feel like there's probably going to be a lot of negative people that say bad things, and they're going to be like, oh, don't do this, don't do that. But the positive things about starting your own career and stuff like that is that you get a lot of benefits from it. And I think one of the biggest benefits is you see people smile after you present them their photos. I had a photo shoot recently, last year. This is only one of the many examples, but I did a family photos, and the wife showed the husband the photos of the happy family. They were actually divorced. So, but they did a family photos. The wife did the photos with the kids and stuff like that, and they showed it to the ex-husband and stuff like that. And he just started crying, and he started crying with joy. And I was like, oh my goodness. He got the reaction of it, and I was like, oh, that is such a heartwarming. I feel like I see so many people happy. It brings them so many joys, and that's literally what makes me the most happiest. Becoming a photographer.
Yeah, was that porque ahora duraba por eso. Adulta ne pasakuba na masakuba sa. So tiwa ahora duraba por the tu pitanyo na chene. Okay. Mia ne ya ta di kwa ne ke he ku ya le kwa for the pana. So kwa beginner and all that they were at okay ahora kwa duraba por. Ne ke ku aja.
Yeah. I just want to bring it back to like this podcast. If you don't have any dedication or consistency, you're never going to make it further. And I apologize for you guys to say this, but if you don't constantly do your research and do what makes you happy and continuing, like for example, shooting every day, you're not going to get where you want to be. For example, I talked about earlier, having a path of what type of photography you want to do. For example, landscape photography, wedding photography, travel photography, portrait photography, and the list go on and on and on. What do you want to be? You want to be a portrait photographer? You want to be a wedding photographer? Once you figure, you can definitely start every single photography. I mean, I feel like I started a lot. I did landscape, I did flower photos, I did street photography, I did wedding photography, I did everything. But as I grew up, I started to realize portrait photography makes me the most happiest. Most happiest. I focus on two things. I focus on portrait photography and wedding photography now. My main income is wedding and portraits. And the portraits, it doesn't only have to mean headshots, or it also doesn't mean like fashion photography. It could mean multiple things. If you go on my website right now and you see the list of the service I offer wedding photography, I offer senior photos, I offer family photos, I've offered portrait session by itself, birthday photos, and the list go on.
Yeah, a lot.
And what I could give you guys advice is that you shoot every single day, you know? Dedicate yourself where you want to be and shoot every single day. If you don't put yourself out there and if you don't like shoot every day, you're gonna lack and you're gonna be like, ugh, I can't do this.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, you know, not only shooting every day, but go out with your family and friends and take photos all the time. What's gonna stop them? What's gonna stop you? Oh, this is a bad photos. Okay, so what?
Yeah, trying to get.
Who cares? It's a bad photos. The goal is for you to become professional one day. You think that as a child, you know, they're gonna start writing itself, you know? Like a baby, they're gonna start writing? No. What do? They practice, you know, once they get to first grade, second grade. I don't know when they start writing, but they eventually start writing. They eventually start learning. Also speaking. The baby starts speaking slowly, and that's with learning and progressively, like learning through parents and friends and families and so on. So, with that being said, you know, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. I think one of the biggest problem why a lot of photographers is not successful is because they're introvert. They're scared to go out. Yeah. Like, what's gonna make you a good photographer if you're scared to talk to other people?
Right, I mean it. Yeah.
Unless you like are a, you know, like a landscape photographer. You don't need to communicate with other people. You just need to communicate with the earth. But as a portrait photographer, you do need to talk to a lot of people, which is a lot of energy. But overall, it's really worth it at the end of the day.
Oh. Yeah, you show me in January, but block on it, but got to what I want in it, but got to what booba. So yeah, improve the theory. Me and then the chumo. Why you go around and get a photographer there? Was that can anybody become a photographer?
Absolutely, anybody. I started this when I was 13. You know, to become a photographer. You can be in your 80, you can be in your 70, you can be like 10 years old. Anyone can become a photographer. What makes a really good photographer is being passionate about what you want to do. And when you're passionate, I mean, you eventually get to where you want to be, and you know, you become the person you want to be, you know. And I think another really good advice I like to give everybody is don't be negative on yourself. Don't put yourself in a position where you're like, oh my god, I'm not good enough, I'm never gonna get there. I've seen that a lot. I think throughout my college career, I've seen people talk like bad all the time about themselves. Like you're gonna be, you know, do you think you're gonna become a good photographer if you're always negative?
I have to say no. You what they know, but something like it. With that, I get with your community, whatever in your other kin, but the Tida, but me go out, oh, tell me about me do a little bit. Yeah, no, then me, so I have to keep in mind a little bit that, but go back, or the positive mindset now, or the positive mindset. Yeah, you too much at that, yeah, I agree, but me, or the negative minded, but get out, but better the thing. Okay, me Jenny, that you go blow at me and get up a photographer or and let her do, you know. You need to go to school for that.
I say yes and no. I think one of the biggest mistakes is that people say that you need a career in order to be successful. Definitely that could be true and that couldn't be true. I mean, a lot of people go to college everybody go to college for a reason. But one of the biggest downside of going to college is that college is not going to teach you every single thing. Majority of the stuff that you're going to learn is that you have to learn it from yourself. So I talked to a couple students this past couple semester, and honestly I've been like really sad and I have been thinking a lot about it. And some of the students, I asked them, and to keep in mind, they're senior in college, and I asked them, what do you want to do after college? And they look at me and they're like,
I don't know.
And I'm like, what? I'm so confused. And that makes me sad because they're finishing with their master degrees and
Yeah.
they don't know what they want to do.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
with your bachelor and master, like what is after that, you know, as a career path? I mean, for me, I've always like dedicated myself to photography. So when I was back in college, when a professor gave me one assignment, I would do like 3 or 4 of them, and that's something that I've challenged myself. So I not only can get a good grade, but I can show the professor, hey, I'm very passionate, so please help me now,
Right,
please.
right.
And you know, the professor, they know,
Yeah.
they know that you are passionate. If a student is passionate, or if a student's here just to be here.
Yeah.
And I was very, very grateful to have a really good professors that guide me through my freshman and sophomore year in college, and they guide me to be overall just a better person and to help me grow as a photographer.
Yeah. So it depends.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely
Okay.
depends.
Miane tadi kwa lucky table tadi kwa ne ke dale so namara ke namara da tala ne ka so the thing that you love you do what you do right now lo ne na lo ta the mute se ko alright go ne so ne ra heavy ba da pa nyolo at the so the people who have a see there they have a see they didn't know what they love no tala they ever that they pa manule the thing ya ne ba cha lo ta the more
Yeah, definitely. If you have a desire in anything, definitely chase it. But if you're not like 100% sure what you
Yeah.
want to do, take the time to sit back and think to yourself, what do I want to do the rest of my life?
Right,
You know,
right.
currently I'm going to school because I want to become a teacher one day. But
Mm.
photography is always going to be forever my passion. But at the end of the day, I think I want to also pursue other career and teach other people about life and
Yeah.
photography and art and stuff like that.
So no, so you are happy, right? The couple na do that go na do ta the pu ne na ta khu lo me. So yeah, the na express the feeling the wa nya de power jet out there. They da tu ba wa da cha le do when they do what they love ne they da tu ba wa cha le. Couple now you don't have to do any other thing that you don't like to do. You just do what you love, right? But so then again, you can make a living. You don't need to worry about other stuff, right? I wouldn't like nigga higgy about that while they would carry a story about it, but how are you gonna encourage them? Nigga higgy about they were telling me that they were go to carry the kakala a jet without one in it.
I think the answer is what you're looking for is definitely find a career first, something that you are passionate about. And if you are passionate about, you're definitely gonna put a lot of work into it. And I just been thinking about how I became a photographer and where I am today, and how much sacrifice I had to make in order to get where I am today. Some people they grow their success overnight, and
Yeah,
other
yeah.
people like me, I guess I started very, very young, and I did commit to it all these time, but that was a very long times. But let's say you're passionate about a career or a photography or anything in general, like I don't care if it's art or music or anything like that. Definitely you're gonna sacrifice a lot. You're gonna you know, you're going to spend some time alone
Yeah.
thinking in your head and realizing, wow, is this the right career
Right.
path for me? You're going to spend a lot of time for yourself, and sometimes you may even miss family gathering
Yeah.
or friends gathering. You know, I feel like I see people go to party all the time, you know. Some of my friends used to call me, hey, let's go clubbing and stuff like that, and I'll be like, oh no, I'm working. I want to grow my photography and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And that's something that sacrifice that you have to put not only as a photographer or pretty much any career you want
Yeah.
to be in. And
But it's worth it, right?
definitely 100%. It is worth it because you see that at the end of the day, what's the most important is yourself, and you have to take care of yourself.
Right.
You know, like you'll have to take care of your mental health, you have to take care of yourself financially, you have to take care of yourself emotionally and all these stuff. And if you're unable to take care of yourself, no one else will, you know.
Yeah, according to the like Bama or talent love car, so talent air car, so do what you love. For the Panama talent air car name, you can take care of yourself more. Now, what's that like in the Myanmar or other color in the day about it? Maybe you don't have time to take care of yourself now. Good name. So you wanna say anything? The last.
I want to give a last piece of advice for anybody who wants to start photography. I guess the first thing is sit down with yourself. I feel like not a lot of people take the time to sit down and look at where they are in this life, what makes them happy, what they desire the most in life. I feel like a lot of people just do whatever they want. School, college, friends, and they just go out and do all these stuff. But what's the most important in this life is what is going to make you the most happiest.
Right.
And sit down with yourself sometime and tell yourself what is going to make me the most happiest. And I feel like once you find out what you want in this life and what will make you the happiest, I can guarantee you're gonna start chasing it like there's no tomorrow.
Right.
And I'm very, very grateful. Even though I don't have much supportive growing up as a kid, no parental guidance and stuff like that, I feel like I'm able to express myself through photography and art now, and I have a very, very good supportive system, and I just want to tell you guys anything is possible. I mean, one of the biggest challenges as a kid growing up is not having supportive parents, and I feel like it was the hardest thing, but because of that, that helped me be even more stronger as a person and to build myself a career and company and stuff like that. But a lot of people in this world, they have both of their parents, Most of them have both of their parents, and most of them have supportive system, and a lot of them take advantage of that. So I want to tell you right now, please don't take advantage of the time you have right now. Your mother and father loves you so much and will help you through any career path you want. And I think my biggest advice is, yes, listen to your parents, but also not only that, but take advantage as much as you can, Not use your parents in a bad way, but they help you with any career path that you want. So take advantage of that. And if you do that, I promise you, you're gonna go a long way.
Because there are a lot of people. When you're not more much at the serious one. So or what they are at the Bama or no, Bama even now. Okay. Now, that way the mirror cafe now, the make well is the cafe photography now. Check what they are now. Okay, but video come back to that pay or not. Sibula cafe, the aware the pockets the palatine go on. I want it. Tabudoma, now, for the kid block.